1941, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. I was a senior at Ripon College in Ripon, Wisconsin. The United States was at war. I was also in my final year of reserve officer training. On the day of my graduation, when I walked across the stage dressed in a black cap and gown, I was given a diploma in my left hand and an officer's commission in my right. I was a second lieutenant of infantry in the U.S. Army. My first training assignments proved frustrating. In 6 months, I wore 4 different service insignia: infantry, armored force, signal corps, and air corps. My assignments kept changing, and when my glider's pilot program was abruptly discontinued, I was at a crossroads in my life and my military career. As a college graduate, I could name the branch, assignment, and location of my next post. I asked one question: what is the quickest way I can get into combat? The answer was, go to the Parachute Training School in Fort Benning, Georgia. Just 1 year after I entered active duty, I reported for duty at the Parachute Training School. I was assigned to Company T, 1st Parachute Training Regiment. I wrote to my brother George, who was stationed at Camp Robinson in Arkansas. You've probably heard what a tough outfit this is. Well, it's no rumor. The first week is devoted entirely to strenuous physical training. At the end of the first week, you're required to run 8 miles without stopping. I'll do it if it kills me. The third week is devoted to jumping from the towers, and the fourth week from planes. You must make 5 jumps in order to qualify. The hospital's full of paratroopers with broken legs or arms. I wrote to my sister Catherine on the 23rd of June. When the plane took off just before I made the first jump, I experienced a feeling I'll never forget. I don't know if it was in anticipation of what I was about to go through, if it was fear, or just a feeling of anxiety. But whatever it was, I had a sick feeling in my stomach and I was sweating freely. I remember standing in the door and getting the command to go, but I don't remember anything until the chute opened. What a great feeling, suspended in air, and it's so peaceful and quiet. In my second and third jumps, I was aware of everything that happened. I saw the tail of the ship as I was falling through space. Then there's that glorious feeling, the opening of the chute. Today, on my third jump, when I hit the ground, I came down pretty hard. I came in on a backward oscillation and landed hard on my feet, then butt, and smacked my head hard. My butt is so sore that I have trouble sitting down tonight, but I know I'll be ready to jump again tomorrow morning. It's a tough racket, but the thrills you get and the glorious feeling of descent more than make up for the risks you take. I wrote to my brother George at Camp Robinson on 27 June. I got my parachute wings last Friday. Of the original 86 who started in our class, 27 finished last Friday. The rest, well, suffered an assortment of fates. Some were disqualified, some had to repeat some weeks, but the majority of them were injured, and we had 1 death. I was fortunate not to get hurt bad enough on any of my jumps to have to go on sick call, but I sure took a beating on some of them. However, I'm happy to be a paratrooper and to have qualified in 4 weeks. The class of men found here is strictly the finest in the Army. The boys with the boots and wings are looked up to and respected by all the infantry here. On 31 August, we boarded a Liberty ship, a 10,000-ton freighter converted into a troop carrier. We were jammed into every nook and cranny on the ship. On board with me was First Lieutenant Richard G. LaRiviere from Chicopee Falls, Massachusetts. We called him Rivers. He and I had become close friends during the 4 weeks of parachute training and readying for our assignment. We were destined to be together until the end of the war and to become true friends. We set out from Virginia in a convoy of 80 ships, which included, in addition to the troop-carrying Liberty ships, an escort of naval combat vessels, one of them a battleship. It was an awesome sight from the deck of our Liberty ship as we headed east across the Atlantic. We would be navigating waters where German submarines had been exacting a heavy toll on U.S. shipping. The ship carried daily newscasts from the Armed Forces radio network, and we listened eagerly for news about the progress of the war. We would soon be in it. On 13 September 1943, the radio blared out the news of the invasion of Italy. For the first time, American troops had landed on European soil. On 25 September, after 3 weeks, we entered the port of Oran, French Morocco, on the North African coast. After a short stay there, we packed up again and headed for the Airborne Training Center in Oujda, located in northeast French Morocco, close to the Algerian border. The Airborne Training Center, which would be our home for the next several months, was located to the south of Oran in a veritable dust bowl, one of the worst in Africa. On 13 November, I wrote my last letter home from Oujda. I'd like to be able to tell you where I've been, where I'm at now, where I'm going, and what I've done, but censorship does not allow it. We can't even say what kind of training we're doing or what outfit we're in. My next letter home would be from somewhere in Italy, from Company H, 504th Parachute Regiment. I'll always remember the night that Rivers and I reported for duty to the 504th Regimental Headquarters near Cirolano in the Italian Apennine Mountains. It was after Thanksgiving Day, and the 504th badly needed replacements. Rivers and I were in that group. We reported to the regimental commander, Colonel Reuben Tucker. As he welcomed us, he talked about what we'd be up against: rugged terrain and a determined enemy giving up ground only grudgingly and at a high price. For me, I'd found a home with the 504th. It would be my final destination after months of frustration trying to become part of a combat unit. I wouldn't be reassigned again, nor would I be with any other unit for the balance of my nearly 4 years of active duty. I couldn't have been assigned to a better fighting unit than the 504th Parachute Regiment. When we reported, staff sergeants had taken over platoons when the officers became casualties. Staff Sergeant Tom Harmon had the platoon to which Rivers was assigned. I was sent to the 3rd platoon, then being led by Staff Sergeant Mike Kogut. I learned from Mike some of the tricks of staying alive and how to lead men, not command them. The 504th had been pursuing German forces in the rugged Apennine Mountains. Resistance was sporadic from the Germans, who were pulling back to defend from higher ground and were booby-trapping and mining the mountain trails. After receiving replacements, H Company and the rest of 3rd Battalion moved out of the bivouac area to relieve the 3rd Ranger Battalion, which had taken and was holding Hill 950. As we moved forward, we encountered heavy German automatic and small arms fire. After beating back several German counterattacks, H Company took up positions on Hill 950 on Mount Samukro. There we were exposed to German snipers, who'd taken up concealed positions in the ridges and saddles around us. It was impossible to dig a foxhole in the rocky terrain for protection from German artillery. Instead, we took cover behind large boulders and ridges that faced in the direction of enemy fire. Lieutenant Peter Gurl, who with Rivers and me had just joined H Company, became a target for snipers. He was shot and killed. Gurl had worn gold bars and binoculars hanging from his neck. Trained snipers look for signs of officers as primary targets. In combat, you learn fast. From that day until the end of the war, neither Rivers nor I wore insignia or anything else that would identify us as officers when we were on the front lines. Along with the artillery the Germans were throwing at us.
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.